Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'al huda. Again, good afternoon to everyone. Greetings to everyone near and far. I'm grateful for being here again. This week is the beginning of the episodes of the Pen Files. The Pen Files is what promotes the book From Pen to Pen. The Pen Files is the name of my company, and the first book that we have out is known as From Pen to Pen. And today we're going to be going over our first chapter. Our first chapter is going to be examined today. And I want you all to follow me along. And remember last week I said, bring your pens, bring your pencils, and be able to write down, okay? Because I want to be able to engage my audience with what's actually taking place and what's going on. So we're going to begin with chapter 1. Where do you live? Where do you live? Yes, I'm talking to you. So during this episode, it's about contemplation. This episode is about contemplation. Contemplating over where you live and understanding that this place that we call home, is it really your home? Are you comfortable with this place called home? How long have you been here? What do you know about it? What do the history books say about this place that we call home? So the question, the rhetorical question to myself, where do you live? I say, I'm glad you asked. I'm really glad that you asked this question. Let's examine history. Let's pay attention to history. Let's look back deep inside the history books of America and what America says about this place here that we call home. There are multiple interpretations of this place called home. America says, land of the free, home of the brave. Land of the free, home of the brave. When you're playing sports, you have two teams. You have the visiting team and you have the home team. But no one coined it the way that Dorothy coined it when she made this statement in The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy said, there's no place like home. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to let that marinate. For all of those of you sitting back contemplating about that place called home, ask yourself, from the interpretations, which one do you fall into? Are you from the visiting team and home? Are you a visitor in a place where you're supposed to be home? Land of the free, home of the brave. How does that feel for you? How does that statement marinate with your mindset, your belief system, your understanding? How do you understand this statement? So I asked the question, another question. Can I look into the history books? Can I look into the history books and define this place called home? I can go back. I can start with 1776. Who remembers 1776? It's now 2021. August 2021. We're talking about July 4th, 1776. What happened? What took place? Living in America on July 4th, 1776, none of us that's talking, none of us that's listening was around to be able to experience that moment. However, on that date, the Declaration of Independence was signed. The Declaration of Independence was signed. They call it the shot heard around the world. The shot heard around the world. The Revolutionary War was won. A new country was established. Or can I say a new home? Can I say it was a new home for those Americans that were living here? And they looked at it and they coined it. And the statement still marinates with us today. Land of the free, home of the brave. But what they do not say, but what you do not hear, is the part that's continually keeping silent. That they continually keep silent. Land of the free, home of the slave. That's what we need to look at. But we're not going to pay attention too much to that. But you have to pay attention when this is all over. Because this is just a 30-minute reel. Land of the free, home of the brave for the home team. Land of the free, home of the slave for the visitors. Who are the visitors? And who play for the home team? In America, we have this thing called the 13th Amendment. Many overlook the 13th Amendment. Many don't pay attention to the 13th Amendment. They don't have a clue about the 13th Amendment. But the 13th Amendment was an amendment to abolish slavery. An amendment to abolish slavery. Remember my statement? Land of the free, home of the slave. If this isn't a home of the slave, then why are we abolishing slavery? Their information, not mine. I can't make this stuff up. Based on the 13th Amendment, every individual who lives in America is considered free. Everyone who lives in America is considered free. Except for who? Those on the home team, those on the visiting team. Everyone who lives in America is free except for who? Those who are in violation of the 13th Amendment. What is this 13th Amendment? How can this 13th Amendment be defined? How can it be examined? Well, from a novice point of view, get arrested. From a novice point of view, if you're arrested, the 13th Amendment will apply to you. You can be arrested, you can be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And now you become an investment for a privatized corporation and now be part of a thing called convict leasing. Because once you're arrested and you're found guilty, you're now a convict. This convict can be leased out to the private shareholders who are engaged in the prison industrial complex, who take full advantage of the statement, land of the free, home of the slave. They identify with it. North versus South. That war was fought for what reason? The North fought the South. For what reason? We're talking about abolishing slavery. They're fighting to abolish slavery. A group saying, no, it shouldn't exist anymore. Another group said, nah, we brought them here for that. We brought them here to be slaves. Again, who are we talking about? Who? Who falls into this category? Who are the individuals that they're talking about when it talks about slavery? Who are these individuals? All of the people who are considered African Americans through their lineage, through their bloodline. Many of them, their bloodline can be traced back to ancestors connected to slavery. Ancestors connected to slavery. So, my next point is the many years earlier saga. Many years earlier, we explained land of the free, home of the brave, land of the free, home of the slave, the 13th Amendment. Now we're going to go back a few years earlier, outside of the 1776, but we're talking about real life now. Now it's real life now. Even though that was real life, but we're talking about real life, a real life situation is about to take place. This place is called SCIG. This is a home for many. Now, when we talk about who, I'm about to give you the who's, the what's, the where's, the why's. The who, the African American male. The who, the African American female. Across the board, consists of the majority of inmates of population. African Americans, the ones connected to slavery, are now a part of a system connected to the prison industrial complex. So I'm inside this room, SCIG. We're lined up. It's 20 of us. 20 of us. It's the process of entering my new home. It's my new home. You know how you go buy a house, huh? You go check the house out, huh? You do the little inventory and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm moving into my new house. I just didn't pay for it. This house here is because I violated the 13th Amendment. In violation of the 13th Amendment, you're going to get yourself a new house. If you violate the 13th Amendment, you get a new house. How many want a new house? Trust me when I tell you, you don't want this kind of house. So I'm getting this new house, not knowing that my house is only 8 feet by 5 feet. Inside this house is a bed, 2 of them, a bunk bed, meaning me and somebody else have to sleep there. I don't know who my cellmate is going to be, okay? There's a toilet there, one toilet, is a small window, okay? It's bars in the front, wall to wall, security. So I'm inside this facility, and the process of entering into my new home is taking place. So we all standing there, and the officer says, when I call your name, come on up to the front. So my turn comes up, officer calls my name, and he asks this one question that just blows my mind. He asked me this one question that just blows my mind. He says, if something happens to you, where do you want your body shipped? I'm a new tenant. I'm about to move into this new spot. They call it A block, B block, C block, D block. Put letters on it. On each block, 600 inmates, 400 cells, 600 inmates. On this side, 400. On the other side, 200 inmates occupied. That's 600 on the block. 4 blocks, 2,400 inmates. The majority of the population, African Americans. The majority population, African Americans. Why did he ask me the question, if something happens to you, where do you want your body shipped? Because I'm in a maximum security prison. I'm in a maximum security prison. A prison with a wall bigger than 3-4 houses on top of each other. Meaning this is an escape, preventive escape route. This is to prevent individuals from escaping. Why? Because the individuals housed inside this facility have committed some of the most hideous of crimes known to man. SCIG, State Correctional Institution of Greatesville, also known as Clay Country, also known as the Brown Boots territory, insurance man shoes. If you violate the 13th Amendment, this can be your home. In America, they have hundreds and hundreds of institutions like this. Hundreds and hundreds of institutions being what? Occupied, preoccupied by who? The majority population, African Americans, whose DNA, whose genealogy can be connected back to what? The slave trade. We're talking about a maximum security, maximum prison, maximum security prison. 1 block, 400 cells. Whole block, 600 inmates. 4 blocks, 2,400. Not including quarantine. Quarantine also hold another 600. Then they added a new side, a few hundred on that side. Then imagine they all send you outside at the same time. Imagine being out there. No officers allowed in the yard. All the officers are in what? They up in the tower. If anything happens to you, this is why that question is asked. You out there with individuals who rob, steal, murder, rape, burglarize, all known, all types of criminals. You know, you name it, they're here. Now imagine being on the block, being in the yard. Something happens to you. Where you going to go for help? Who are you going to go to for help? 2,400 inmates. You got a beef with somebody. You got a situation with a guy. Situation from on the streets. Or you did something to somebody and that person's relative is right there. right there in that institution. He's been there for the last 10 years. Everybody knows him. Huh? See, the young boys need to hear this. The young guys, the young fellas need to hear this, because you don't get to bring your gun there. You don't have a 9mm on A-Block. You don't get a 9mm. You're on the block with your peers. You're on the block with individuals who committed the same type of crime that you committed, and even worse. This is my story. This is the first chapter. And it's going to get more and more intense. We're going to take off. We're going to get more and more intense as we go through this chapter. Hey, Kev, are you there, Kev? Anything you like to say, Kev? You want to add on? So only have a few minutes left. Well, we're going to wrap it up. But I want everyone to stay tuned. I want everyone to stay tuned for next week's chapter. Next week, we're going to go over the beginning. Next week, our chapter is going to be called The Beginning. And the beginning is another chapter that we're going to indulge in and engage with the audience to give them an understanding of this book called From Pen to Pen. I'm looking forward to answering questions from the audience. So if there's a time period where you guys are writing down questions, put your questions together. Get your questions together, because the time is going to come when you're going to be able to have those questions answered. Because remember, I say a lot of things in the book. Some things need interpretation. Some things need to be explained. And here's one thing I say, and this is a principle. We really got to honor this principle here, that we don't hold a person accountable for what he says, but we hold a person accountable for what they mean. The information in this book is something that I wrote, something that I put together. Don't hold me to account for what I say, but make sure you understand what I mean by what I'm saying, what I mean by this statement, what I mean by that statement. And then that way, you're giving an individual the rights that he deserved to explain himself. We're going to end our discussion today as we move forward on to the next chapter. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for their time, their support, all of those who came out today to sit back and listen to the show. But again, we have more to come. I close as I open. وَكُلُّ قَوْلِي هَذَا وَاسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ وَنَسْأَلُ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى وَالتَّوْفِيقَ وَالثَّبَاتَ وَالسَّدَادَ. I leave you all with the greetings of peace, salutations. I thank you all again for coming. May God bless you all.